It's September and it is time for soups. Now, I personally make soup all year round. We just love soup, so I make it, I don't save it just for fall. But there are a lot of people who just do soups in the fall. And today, we are going to do soup in the crock pot. I have two recipes that my family loves, and so I want to share those with you. Also, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Thanks so much for coming by. I would love it if you would consider subscribing, and I would love it if you would help me reach my goal of 700 subscribers by the end of the year. That would be most appreciated. But for now, let's go ahead and get started on the soups. Tonight is crock pot night because I have a busy day. So we are having white chicken chili, and for this recipe, it calls for chicken, so I have some frozen chicken. I'm doubling it, so I'm using 4 cans of white beans. I'm using a large little can of green chilies, a block of cream cheese. It's gonna call for some chicken stock. Calls for an onion. I forgot an onion at the store, but I have this frozen onion bell pepper blend I'm gonna use. Calls for tomatillo salsa or green chili salsa, garlic powder, salt and pepper, and cilantro for the topping. And I'm just gonna put everything into the crock pot except the cream cheese and the cilantro right now. But those are the ingredients for this crock pot meal. All right, to get this started, I am gonna put in the frozen chicken. Now, all I have is this frozen tenderloins. So I'm gonna put in one more. All right, that's good there. All right, then I'm going to add 2 cups. Now remember, I'm doubling this recipe. So 2 cups of chicken broth. Then it calls for, if I can get this open, 2 cups of the green chili salsa or tomatillo salsa. So got 2 cups of that. Goes in there, yummy. All right, and then I'm gonna add in the onion, which, like I said, don't have an onion, so I'm just adding that. Then it calls for, if I'm doubling, it calls for 4 cans of the white beans. I'm gonna put in, this is the 7-ounce can. I think normally they're like 4.5. So I'm gonna put in all of the 7-ounce can of green chili. Calls for a teaspoon of garlic, so I'm doing 2 teaspoons, approximately. We like garlic, so I'm not really measuring that. I did forget to mention that it also calls for cumin. So I'm gonna do 2 teaspoons of cumin. And then I'm gonna add my pepper. You know what, I'm not adding salt because that Better Than Bouillon is pretty salty to begin with. So I'm not gonna use it. But anyway, that is all you add to this. And then let me stir it around just to get those seasonings in there. And then I'm going to put this on low because I'm gonna be gone all day. I'm gonna put this on low for, let's just say, 7 hours, and it will start cooking. And then when it gets to about 5 or 6 hours, I will show you what to do next. All right, so there is about 30 minutes left. So what I'm gonna do at this point is I'm gonna take the chicken out and I am gonna shred it. I'm not gonna put it back yet after I shred it. I'm gonna wait, there's another step. So I'm gonna take all this chicken out and shred it, and then and then I'll be back to tell you what else I need to do. Okay, I've got the chicken shredded, so I'm gonna set it to the side. Then I have to take a scooper or a spoon or whatever and just get some of the bean mixture out. Probably about a cup. And what this is gonna do, I'm going to, that's about a cup right there, I guess. And I'm gonna, now it says use an immersion blender, which I don't have an immersion blender. Or it says put it in a blender, and I don't wanna do that. But I have this little thing, and it's supposed to be like a whisk or something. So I'm gonna see if this works. I'm just gonna press the beans, get them nice and mashed up. And then before I put them back into the crock pot, and what this is gonna do, this is going to it's gonna add some creaminess to the soup. And you can see here, it's kind of getting a little creamier, but it's gonna add some creaminess to the soup without having to add any kind of like whipping cream or anything like that. And you keep most of the beans intact in here. So you're just using some of it. So I have it nice and mashed up. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this in here. Then mix this a little more. Then what you're gonna do is you're going to take your cream cheese, and I'm gonna scoot this over just a tad. But you're gonna take your cream cheese and you're gonna use, calls for 4, but I'm doubling, so 8 tablespoons of cream cheese, and you're gonna blend it in with this bean mixture, and that's gonna add more creaminess and juiciness, not juiciness, but creaminess to the soup. So I'm just gonna kinda, let me get a different thing. All right, I'm just gonna kind of guesstimate. Then I'm just gonna stir this up until it is creamy. Once it's creamy, then I'm gonna add it back to the pot, back to the crock pot. All right, now I'm gonna add this in here. I'm gonna stir it up and let it finish cooking the rest of the way. Stir this up real good. Once it is stirred, I'm gonna cover it and let it cook for about 30 minutes or more, just depending. Oh, but before I do that, let me add back the chicken. All right, so the chicken is in there. And now I'm gonna cover it back up. Got it covered, about 30 more minutes. Okay, the soup is done. So I'm gonna go ahead give it a stir. Doesn't that look good? Anyway. And then I'm going to top it with some cilantro. And there you have it. Let me know in the comments below, do you make soup all year round? If so, tell me what soups you love to make. Tonight for dinner is beef vegetable soup. And for these, you can honestly use whatever vegetables you want in there. This is just what I use. I use carrots, peas, beans, green beans, corn, lima beans, but I also use a can of Rotel, a can of beef consomme, a large can of crushed tomatoes, and then of course the stew meat. And then for the seasonings, you can use any seasonings you want, and honestly I'll probably throw a couple more in for good measure, but I use garlic, a little bit of thyme, a little bit of oregano, a splash of Worcestershire, some salt and pepper. Probably won't use the salt as much though, so I'm gonna take that out. Pepper, and then some flour, some all-purpose flour. But that is what I use for the ingredients to my beef vegetable soup. All right, you can make the vegetable soup one of two ways. Sometimes I put it in the crock pot, sometimes I put it on the stove. If I put it on the stove, I saute my meat, and then once it's brown, I put a little flour on it just to kind of thicken up the soup. But when I put it in the crock pot, I just go ahead and put my meat in a bowl, and then I'm gonna add some flour to it. And I like my soup kind of soupy, so I'm not gonna add too much, but just add the flour on there. Then you can go ahead and add some seasoning, just like if you were gonna saute it or whatever. Add your seasoning, and then once I finish adding the seasoning, I'm gonna blend it up, and I will put it in the crock pot like this, so that once it's cooking, the flour will help it to thicken up, even though I'm not browning it on the stove. All right, I have the meat in the crock pot, and I have all of the canned food open. Now you can use fresh vegetables, but just to make it quick and easy, I use canned. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start adding those things. and then I will add the seasoning. Okay, I probably should have used my larger crock pot, but oh well. So I have all my vegetables in here, and I only use about half of the can of crushed tomatoes. I don't have any of the smaller ones, smaller cans, but if I see I need more, I can always add more. But for the seasonings, I'm just gonna add a little more oregano. You don't wanna add too much oregano because it's kind of strong. Same with the thyme. I just added in there for a little extra. Now I do add plenty of garlic because we do like garlic. So this is just really all kind of to your taste. And then the pepper. And I also put just a splash or two of Worcestershire sauce. And I did forget to mention, I'm gonna go ahead and stir this up while I talk, but I did forget to mention that I had it out, so I don't know why I didn't show it, but anyway, I also add 1 or 2 bay leaves. So I may actually change this into the larger crock pot, so I think I'm gonna do that. So give me a minute. Okay, much better. Also, as I was saying before, I forgot to mention about the bay leaves. So I do add a couple of bay leaves. And then depending on how juicy or thick you want it, you can add more water. Then you just stir it up. As I said before, you can use whatever seasonings you want. These are just the ones I want to use or that I like to use. And anyway, we are going to go ahead and set this to cook. I will probably let it cook for, I don't know, about 6.5 hours. So I'm going to set it on low, and I will go ahead and let it cook for, I'm going to set it for 7. And there we have it. To go with the vegetable soup that we're having tonight, I'm going to make Jiffy jalapeno cornbread. Yes, I'm in the South, but I do like Jiffy cornbread. So anyway, it calls for 1 box of Jiffy, a 1/4 cup of, it says vegetable oil, but we don't use vegetable oil, we use avocado oil. Calls for 1/3 cup of milk, a 1/2 cup of sour cream, 1 egg, and, well, 1/2 cup of cheese. I'm just gonna eyeball it. That's probably 1/2 cup. And then 1/8 of a cup of chopped jalapenos. And these beauties are from my little garden. So they have been pickled and stored. And so I'm just gonna mix this up and then pour it into my sprayed dish. And then I'm gonna cook it according to the box. It says 400 degrees. And I'm gonna cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm gonna get this nice and stirred up, and then I'm gonna get it in the oven. it is time to eat. And after about an hour and a half of cooking, I thought maybe I should turn it up. So I went ahead and turned it up on high and let it finish cooking on high for the rest of the time. So I'm going to serve it. Need to take that bay leaf out. This is the vegetable soup, as well as the cornbread, the jalapeno cornbread. And that is what's for dinner. And perfectly enough, started raining a few minutes ago, so perfect night. That's it, you guys. Those are the two of the soups that my family loves, and great because it cooks it in the crock pot. Set it in the morning, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about dinner till it's time to eat. But anyway, if you liked either of these soups, please give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget, if you're not subscribed, to click that subscribe button and also click the bell button because it lets you know every time I upload a new video. And I will see you next time. Bye.